British Columbia's first stand-up paddleboard race, the Kalamalka Classic, has been a must-attend event for local athletes since it began in 2010. With a supportive environment and a focus on fun, the event attracts paddlers of all skill and competitive levels.
So the Kalamalka Classic is a really fun weekend event here in Vernon. There are all kinds of different races for beginner to the pro. You've got positive energy from people, you know, high fives, and you start the whole weekend with a chant. I mean, everything was great.
Welcome to the 7th annual Kalamalka Classic. We started with about 24 athletes. Now we're at about 180. Awesome!
There's all levels of participation inside. There's competitive, there's recreational, there's brand new, there's kids, but the essence of the event was really just celebrating the sport and having people come together. And yes, there's some competitions within those, but it's on a more friendly format without getting too serious about rules and guidelines and sort of taking the fun away. And I think that's kind of what the essence of stand-up really is at the community level.
So we started Saturday with the rail trail race, and that was just a 2-mile recreational paddle. They had a couple buoys set out. You just made a big loop.
That's followed by a kids race, and that's catered to all children under 13 years old in a free event, and equipment is provided for those kids.
You have kids that are tiny, and they're out there on these boards and they are killing it. They've got the pivot turns dialed. They're all paddling hard, but having fun. And even when they fall in, they're smiling, hopping back on. Their energy is just so contagious and fun. So the Wiki Holo race starts from the beach. Everybody's lined up holding their boards. They have to run out, jump on the board. You almost want to be in front, depending on how technical your skills are, because when you get a whole group of people turning around the buoy at the same time, you have to be really on it.
Because these courses are usually a little bit tighter, you are generally surrounded by other racers in close quarters, so you also have to think about how to maneuver around and deal with people banging into your board or going over your board or falling onto you. So everyone's trying to maneuver around these buoys that are placed usually in an M or an S, quite closely together.
The finale of the weekend is the Cal Classic, the 10-mile crossing of the lake.
We actually start on Wood Lake, and it's a beautiful little beach. And we get people to go around a buoy, and then it's really fun. You get to go under a bridge, through a little channel that takes you onto Kalamalka Lake. So you can watch people cross under the bridge and through the channel. And there's just this beautiful open lake, which is Kalamalka Lake.
It's a race where you can do it, you know, for a number of different reasons, and one of them is that you're racing with a group of people that are like, you know, your speed level and your sort of skill level, and you're with pods of people racing. So it's not just you're racing by yourself, but you're with a group of people where you're like, hey, I think I can pass that guy or that girl, and they give you little milestones along the way. And some people just kind of do it to enjoy the beautiful lake. So it's got something for everyone. It's become one of those like bucket list races that for everybody.
As the final paddlers came in from the race, all the other racers were lining up on the beach toward the finish line with their paddles, holding it up high, and the racers would come up on the beach, grab their paddle, and start running through the arch up to the finish line, and we're cheering, and everybody's just smiling and having a good time.
It was 2010 when we got started, so the sport was so new in Canada. We didn't know if it was just going to be us paddling the races or if people would come from somewhere. We didn't know who they were. And you know, each year it built this sort of energy towards it, where it wasn't a race necessarily, it wasn't a festival, it wasn't all these things, it was everything all into one. It's been spectacular. It went from 26 people to just over 200 this past year, and to watch that many people crossing the lake at once was pretty spectacular.